So early this morning on Get Up, Dan Orlovsky shared some thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers and what they're doing at quarterback. The fact that right now Russell Wilson sitting out because of his calf injury, Justin Fields has been taking those first team reps. And so let's hear what Dan Orlovsky has to say.
Well, it's disappointing to hear Brooke say that Justin hasn't taken advantage of the opportunity in many ways. I mean, she said that he kind of looks like the guy that we had seen for segments in Chicago. And you're not going to get you're only going to get so many chances to be the guy in Pittsburgh. And we didn't even think the window would open itself unless something happened to Russell, and it did. So it's disappointing to hear that Justin hasn't taken advantage of it. I'll say this. Now that the door has been opened, it's made me ask the question to myself of why not Justin Fields instead of, well, what's going to make Russell lose the job? If you're the Steelers, let's live in this hypothetical world. Yeah.
Russell Wilson's your starting quarterback. You're going to win 10 games. You're going to be good. Then you have to decide 6 or 8 months from now, am I going to pay Russell Wilson at 36 years old a gajillion bucks? For what? Good? Or do I want to become the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, that's the question the Steelers have to ask themselves. Are they content with becoming the Baltimore Ravens of 2020, 2021 with Lamar Jackson? Because if they do with Justin Fields and play him, and they can run the football the way that they're going to be able to with their backs and their offensive line, you're talking about making a decision paying a guy who's 26 years old rather than 36 years old. So first off there, my guess would be that he's not comparing Justin Fields and thinking that he can get to Lamar Jackson's level. That's what I would guess. My guess is he's just talking about, the way that the Ravens run their offense, more focused on the run and, a lot of design runs for Lamar Jackson. And maybe the Steelers, if they were to decide to eventually go to Justin Fields, they could adopt something more like that, which is Justin Fields' strength, running the ball. He has not been a good passer. He has been below average in pretty much every passing category since he entered the NFL. So that wouldn't be, a bad idea in my opinion. But here we go.
It's disappointing Justin hasn't taken advantage of it. But now that the door's open, I sit there and I go, if you're the Steelers and you take an objective step back, do you want to be 8 months from now going, we're going to pay a 36-year-old a bunch of money?
I hear you, and that's the long view, but I want the short view from you here. If you're a player in that locker room and you want to win week 1, and then again week 2 and week 3 and all the rest of that, do you think right now that those guys, well, you don't know what they think. What do you think? Who gives them the best chance right out of the chute to start winning games early? Because the early part of their schedule is critically important.
If Arthur Smith, who's their new offensive coordinator, will use more designed quarterback runs, it's Justin Fields. Because that's the correlation for me, Greeny, is we could become the Ravens. The Pittsburgh Steelers can lead the NFL in rushing this season. If Arthur Smith, and he didn't do it a ton with Desmond Ridder, if he utilizes more quarterback run with that offensive line and those two backs, and Justin, who, when he runs the ball, is about as explosive as anybody in football outside of maybe Lamar.
Consistently.
Okay, so Dan Orlovsky saying that if Arthur Smith will use more quarterback runs, he thinks that the best option is Justin Fields. And I don't think that's a crazy idea. I think that if you just look at, passing when it comes to Russell Wilson's ability versus Justin Fields' ability, I think there's no doubt in my mind that Russell Wilson is a better passer, even at this point in his career, where he's not quite at the same level he was when he was, dominating with the Seahawks earlier in his career. But the thing is, because Justin Fields is so explosive on the ground, if they were to adapt to that kind of style, I think you could have a similar output to Russell Wilson being out there. And while Justin Fields in his career in the NFL has not been a great passer, just looking at his stats last year, 29th completion percentage, 22nd passer rating, 23rd QBR, 23rd EPA per attempt. Not great as a passer. Wilson last year, Russell Wilson, 13th completion percentage, tied for 8th best passer rating. Russell Wilson did do a pretty good job last year of, not turning over the ball with only 8 interceptions. I think that when you look at this Steelers team last year, the fact that they were one of the worst offenses in the NFL with Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, a couple other quarterbacks, or another quarterback, their defense was, holding this team together. The fact that they were able to win 10 games last year with literally one of the worst offenses in the NFL is just very telling as to, how dominant this defense is and has been for a while. You look at some of the Steelers' offensive stats last year, worst in yards per drive, worst in offensive points scored per game, worst in points per minute of possession. And so the Steelers' offense last year was just so predictable under Matt Canada. Kenny Pickett is not a great quarterback. And so I think, honestly, with Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, I believe you're taking a step forward from where you were last season. And I honestly think that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields aren't too far apart when it comes to the kind of output they would have on the Steelers offense. Now that is going to be, they're going to be different styles of quarterbacks, clearly. And if you solely look at EPA per play, which is expected points added per play, so this factors in, of course, passing, rushing. Russell Wilson last year was 19th. Justin Fields was 23rd. So honestly, there's not a massive gap in either of their production overall when you add in Justin Fields and his rushing ability. He's no doubt one of the best rushers in the entire NFL. And so, honestly, either guy I think is going to be an upgrade from last year. They're still not great in my opinion. I still think that if the Steelers want to make a push for a Super Bowl, I don't think either of these guys is going to do that for them. I think that they're average to below average quarterbacks right now at the points in their career. Maybe Justin Fields can take some steps forward as a passer. We just haven't really seen it yet, but he does have great rushing ability. And so I think that when you look at the AFC, the quarterbacks that you have to beat in the playoffs, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, I just don't think you're going to get it done with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. And so while I think this is going to be a competitive team, a team that has a somewhat solid chance to make the playoffs, in my opinion, I still think you're going to have a tough time when it comes to really making that playoff push. And so the Steelers will have some decisions to make as as time goes forward. But honestly, I don't think there's a massive difference between Fields and Wilson overall as a quarterback in the Steelers offense. So we'll see what they decide to do. My guess is, from all that I've seen, that Russell Wilson will be the guy. It sounds like Mike Tomlin is leaning on that. Of course, with Russell Wilson missing time, Fields has had an opportunity, but seemingly from some of these reports, he hasn't been great and really taken, huge advantage of the opportunity he has. But it'll be interesting to watch this season. And, if a little bit through the season Russell Wilson is struggling, then I don't see why they wouldn't try out Justin Fields out there. But my guess would be Russell Wilson wins this job. I think that with the defense the Steelers have and, just how bad the Steelers were on offense last year, Mike Tomlin probably wants to lean on a guy who at least has a ton of experience in the NFL winning big games. And I think that could be crucial for a team that doesn't need their offense to be, top 5, top 10 offense to find success, considering how good this defense is. So we'll keep an eye on this and see how things progress as training camp moves forward, as well as the regular season. If you want more NFL content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.